Hello again. Today we're planning to wrap up this series about theory, easy theory for guitar to help make learning easier. Just for now, we'll come back. There's more helpful things we can learn, but the goal of this series was just to make it easier to understand the well-tempered exercises, if you choose to want to understand them. Like I said before, you really, you can just do the well-tempered exercises. I'm going to start sort of morphing into a new name, which is exercises for guitar mastery or guitar mastery exercises, something like that, which is a little more obvious to the general public what our result is going to be of doing these exercises. But some of you are familiar with the Well-Tempered book and the Well-Tempered exercises. So we're gonna get into those exercises soon enough. So as we wrap up this little series about music theory for guitar, I want to remind you that the important thing is just to be familiar with these things. Don't worry if anything's confusing. There's probably going to be unanswered questions at this point. There almost always is with music theory, and it's like fitting. One of y'all commented about fitting the puzzle pieces fitting together, and that's exactly what it's like. You learn a little piece, and it's kind of like having a piece of a jigsaw puzzle, and you just put it in that one spot, and it's not connected to anything yet, and it seems kind of floaty, and it doesn't make any sense. And then when the pieces start piecing together, you get something that makes sense, something that's usable. And it's always gonna be piecing things together. But it's very helpful. Just a little bit of music theory is very helpful to just help you feel more comfortable and at ease in your musical journey. So as we move forward, let's just remember a few basic things. And if these things are confusing, you don't have to worry about it. Just being familiar with it and having talked about it a little bit is going to help. We just want to know the difference between a half step and a whole step, which I think you're real familiar with by now. Just a quick review. Whenever we play a note and we skip a fret and play 2 frets higher, that is a whole step. If we play that same note and we just play 1 fret higher, that is a half step. Major scales are made out of whole steps and half steps. And let's just, let's look at major scale on the E string again. That's your open E string, whole step, half step. Whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. So one takeaway is the major scale is all whole steps except for 2 places. And if you forget where those 2 places is for now, that's okay. You'll know it real good after you do a few of the well-tempered exercises. Let's look at it on a piece of paper, and then I'll tell you more about the main point of today. We're working our way up to, but here I have 2 octaves. So far we've been talking about the scale with 1 octave. Let me get a C note. Do, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Or 1, 2, 3, 4. Was I blocking that? Let's see, we need a pencil or something. Just a second. Grab my favorite pencil. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And we've been working with what we call 1 octave up to the 8th note. And what we want to get used to today is that sometimes instead of calling this note 8, we can call it 1. And that's because the scale keeps going in both directions. So let me, I'm not going to be able to sing high enough, but let me sing it again. I'm going to try starting really low. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Why am I having trouble with this? Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. So that's 2 octaves there. And let me do it with numbers this time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And the point of today's lesson is that this note that I just called 8 can also be called 1, because you could also start here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Or you could call it 1. Notice that this note, which is the 8th note in our scale, it has the same letter name as the first note. So that's another way of thinking about why you can call this one 8 or you can call it 1. And when we get into our exercises for guitar mastery or our well-tempered lessons, as we've been calling them, sometimes, well, usually we do call it 1. The other thing that happens in our exercises is sometimes, well, we'll be playing a lot of things like, let me get that note in my 1. We'll be playing exercises like 1, 2, 1, or 1, 3, 1. And this develops our musical, it develops our hearing plus our knowing where the sounds are on the guitar in a magical and in a potent way, in a very usable way. Another thing that happens is we might go 1, 2, 1, 7, 1, and that's the main thing I wanted to talk to you about today. That just, even if you decide to do the well-tempered lessons and you decide, I don't care if I don't understand it, you can just totally do the exercises and not worry about it. But almost everybody gets their mind blown when I play. Let me play it on the guitar. This is a C note, by the way. You don't have to remember that. But if I could go 1, 2, 1, 7, 1. Most people don't like to just accept it. They're like, whoa, wait, how could that be 7? So I'll go over that just a couple more times, and then we'll be done. I just want it to be a little comfortable when we run into that in our exercises. So this is a C note, and let me play it, the scale going up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Or we could go 1, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, and we just ran out of notes, but the scale does keep going. 1, 7, 6. So that's why we can play 1, 2, 1, 7, 1. And if that is still mind-blowing, don't worry about it. Things like that, they're just mind-blowing for a while. And then after doing some more exercises, after studying some more theory, one day it'll be just like, oh, well, yeah, and then someday it'll seem so simple that you'll tell it to somebody else as if it's really simple, and they'll be like, what? So don't worry about anything that's confusing. You're welcome to ask questions, but don't feel like if it's confusing, don't feel like you're not up to it or it won't work for you, because it will. Even if you never understand the theory. Here's a good point. Even if you never understand the theory, doing the exercises will make you able to play the music for the same reason you're able to speak. Here's a good example. Say the word paper. You say paper? Say the word, let me check, see how much time we have. Okay, good. Say the word basketball or banana. Okay. Have you ever noticed how similar the P sound is? P in paper, B in basketball. If you were to explain to someone what to do different with your lips, notice you put your lips together to make paper. You put your lips together to say basketball, B. But what's the difference between the P sound in paper and the B sound in basketball? There's not a lot of difference, and you actually don't need to know the difference. My 2.5-year-old grandson is learning to make those sounds, and he doesn't understand the difference. And so my point is that a lot of your musical talent and expression can be kind of like that, even if you don't understand the theory, especially if you do the guitar mastery exercises that we're going to be getting into. So the main point is, don't worry about anything. Let's see, if people freak out when I play 1, 2, 1, 7, 1, this will be here and I can send you to it. And the only other thing, there was a question about circle of fourths, and I realized when I looked at my plans that I want to talk about the circle of fourths and actually look at the circle and explain the circle of fourths when we do our orientation for the guitar mastery exercises. I was just checking my time. I try to stay within 15 minutes, makes life easier. There was one more thing. Oh, I was just going to tell you what's coming up. Before we start the guitar mastery exercises, we're going to talk a little bit about how to change a bad habit without frustration. And it's really important to know, if you have to change a bad habit, it doesn't have to be excruciatingly frustrating. And I'll explain that in that lesson. And it'll be nice to know those things when we start the guitar mastery exercises or the well-tempered exercises, because that's a good opportunity when we're playing things that are physically simple and not a whole big song. That's a good time to change bad habits. And yeah, we'll be learning about what I think is the easiest way to learn where the notes are on your guitar. And looking forward to sharing those things with you, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.